Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty cold this morning. So unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know that Honda has its new CB750 Hornet launching in Australia now. It's an interesting bike, you know. Really well priced at 13.5 right away. Fair to say quite polarizing now that it has a parallel twin, signaling a move away from the 4-cylinder models of the past. But you know, we make pretty good power still, 67 kilowatts, 75 Newton meters. So I'll be very interested to see if the Hornet still has a sting in its tail. That's so lame, isn't it? Anyway, let's go, come. All right. Just setting off in the first bit of wet road, I think we'll have a dry road today. It's just a bit damp in the morning. Just setting off in this sort of anonymous freeway. I want to take this opportunity to very briefly, and I mean briefly, tell you some of the quick things you need to know before we get stuck into the fun stuff. The Honda CB750 Hornet. We've got 4 rider modes on this lovely TFT screen. Did you ever wonder what TFT stood for? Because I only just found out last night. Thin film transistor. I never even thought to ask the question. But yeah, TFT is a thin film transistor. Real interesting. We've got 4 rider modes. Rain, Sport, Road and User, which is like your one you can set yourself, and I'm really happy to find out that you can swap them on the fly no matter what. Like some bikes, like the Street Triple for instance I rode the other day, it was a bit of a point of annoyance that you had to come to a complete stop to enter like the track and user modes. In this rain mode I have a little bit less power, I think quite a bit less power, but in all the other modes we've got all 67 kilowatts and 75 Newton meters from this new 755cc parallel twin, and that sounds like about the right amount of grunt for a bike of this type. Non-adjustable shower suspension. I think you can change the preload at the rear, but we got a lot of comments when this bike was first revealed that it was a bit conservative, which has sort of been Honda's style of late, but then we found out the price, 13.5 right away, and it starts to make a bit more sense. And what you get for that 13.5 makes this thing, if it stacks up, a really good value proposition. But it needs to still be a lot of fun, needs to still have a bit of bark about it. So that's what I'll be really interested in seeing today. So that's enough specs and stuff like that. I don't want to bore you to death with that stuff, so I'm going to catch up with you in the twisties, baby. Let's go. I lied, I'm sorry. Just one more thing. Quickshifter up and down is not standard, but this one has the optional one fitted. It's a bit over 300 bucks extra, so you'd be bringing the price to around 14 grand right away. Anyway, I promise I'm gone now. Well, it's still bloody raining. I thought we'd get a dry road by now, but nonetheless, a bit of fun. Should speak, bloody noisy journalists. Should speak first impressions. What's surprising me early on is it's more dynamic than I thought. I sort of looked at it and I thought it's a pretty conservative middleweight naked bike parallel twin, but with the 270-degree crank, it's got a bit of bark about it. It sounds all right. Quickshifter, lovely, smooth. Great sound on the downshifts, and even in the rain mode, which sucks your power output on a wet road, that front wheel is dying to come off the ground. So I cannot wait for this road to dry up. I'm going to put it in the sport mode and we're going to have some real fun today, I reckon, so I'll keep you posted. It's very upright and neutral ergos. It's sort of a strange thing because, you know, they talk about the petrol tanks sort of designed off the Hornet's wing, and you can sort of see it, but overall it's a relatively conservative styling job. The ergos are upright and nothing out of the ordinary, but this new motor is packed with life. And so I think Honda struck a pretty good balance of building a motorcycle for the people, a real motorcycle that makes sense in the real world. It's good value, but plenty of fun to be had. And I dare say it lives up to the Hornet name, thanks to this new 755cc twin motor. The quickshifter, I think, is a must get as an option. Auto blipper works fantastic. I don't love the way these bars feel in my hand. I like a flat bar. These are sort of curved and upright. Curves up towards the end, tapers up. But that's personal taste and something that's so easy to change yourself. I'd throw on some Renthal motocross style bars just like I do on everything I ever own. Yeah, nothing intimidating here on a really wet, bumpy mongrel of a road. It's beautifully smooth on the throttle, but it really opens up towards the other end of the rev range. You get a nice whack of induction noise. The brakes are firm, lots of bite, possibly firmer than some people would like. They come on hard. So yeah, still can't light the wick. Still not dry enough to go hell for leather, but come on, road gods, come on, look after us. Guys, we're in Warburton. This is a cigarette. We're in Warburton. This is a classic rest stop for motorcyclists here in Victoria, Australia. There's so many good roads around it. Got the Mount Donabuang, the Reefton Spur you might have heard of, just impeccable riding roads. It's such a weird looking joint, like nowhere looks quite like it. They've got all these old buildings. There's an old factory over there which was the Sanitarium factory. This is actually where they first started making Wheat Bix, you know, the cereal, the Australian cereal. So, fun fact. But I'm having fun. The Hornet's pretty cool, man. I'm enjoying it. It's not what I expected. It's a little bit more raucous, you know. It's traction control doesn't babysit you. Even when it's really turned up, it's really easy to get that rear wheel lit up, and it's very easy to get that front wheel off the ground. So really stoked with Honda's new parallel twin motor, and I'm sure it will be fantastic in the incoming XL750 Transalp adventure bike. So, coffee time, motorbikes, rock and roll, grouse, Infomoto, Matthew Heyman, let's go. Now this ain't so bad. Look at these roads. I have to say I'm finding this bike quite taily. It's a pretty primitive swing arm setup. And the tyres aren't overly crash hot. Interestingly, some will come with Michelin Road 2 tyres and other ones Dunlop Sport Max tyres, which I have to imagine is due to supply constraints, which is hitting just about every part of the motorcycle industry at the moment. But I guess you'll either get some Dunlops or some Michelins. I think if I bought this bike, I'd be putting some stickier rubber on it, because I am finding that rear end is pretty happy to step out, given I am on a wet road, you know, so I should pay credit where credit's due. But yeah, those tyres are a little bit old school. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are grey. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. So don't you take my sunshine away. 15.2 litre fuel tank on this baby, which if you ride pretty conservatively you should get 340 k's out of that tank, they reckon. It's definitely a nice motor, definitely a nice motor. Isn't it interesting that Suzuki and Honda have both made very similar 750cc parallel twins? Honda's version powers this Hornet and the Transalp, and Suzuki's version powers its GSX 8S naked bike, which is very similar to this Hornet, at least on paper, as well as the V-Strom 800DE. So those two are going to be really hunting each other in the showrooms. Good to see a bit of competition, particularly from Suzuki and Honda, who haven't been overly ambitious of late. So it's good to see two magnificent Japanese companies building new bikes again. It's pretty fast, this bike. It's not so much top end grunt, it's mid-range, which, whoa, bit of a rear end wobble there. This road is slippery, and I've got to say I haven't got that much faith in these tyres. The tail has come out on me quite a number of times today, so I better make sure I keep an eye on that. You can't treat the Hornet like a full-blown sports bike, as much as sometimes it feels like a sports bike. We've still got fairly conventional suspension and a fairly conventional chassis, so, and those tyres. So I must remind myself, because yep, you wouldn't have seen it on the GoPro, but the rear end got a bit loose there, I have to say. Under lift off oversteer. Yeah, enjoying this. I love this road. It's an absolute classic. Yeah, that mid-range pull is just really nice and meaty. To me, the headline reads, "Great motor, Honda." I do have one small complaint about the ergos of this bike. Because of the sort of step-up pillion seat, you're really locked in, and so it's very difficult to get into like a racer crouch because you can't slide your butt back far enough. And these bars are really high, and so when I go to put a bit of a crouch on it, it just doesn't feel quite natural. I think you're sort of stuck in this upright seating position. You can move around left and right of the seat, but not forward and back. I'm 6'1", so I think smaller riders will have no problem getting on this. The seat height's not that high, and it's definitely not uncomfortable as, I guess, a taller guy. But oh man, I just completely lit up the rear tyre. This road's getting gnarly. This is Alpine region, it's all icy. I saw the sign saying beware of eyes and I paid zero attention. Classic. Yeah, I gotta slow her right down now. This is actually getting a bit spooky.
What do you reckon?
Hey, Matthew! Man, I've just been a bit naughty and just doing wheelies like the last hour. This second gear power on, it just loves it, man. It's like, it's a Hoonmobile in disguise. It's a real sleeper. You can have so much fun on this thing. You know, it's taught me not to judge a book by its cover. It may look conservative, but underneath there's a raucous little unit, so I'm having fun.